Welcome to 100 Huntley Street. Cheryl Weber and Greg Musselman will join us shortly. But first, we wanted to update you on a story that has continued to capture the country's attention and has caused many of us to pray for rain and for safety. Fires continue to ravage the BC interior as over 36,000 evacuees are looking for relief and support, while another 17,000 prepare to evacuate their home at any moment now as firefighters try to control the 160 fires continuing to burn in British Columbia. On Saturday night, residents of Williams Lake evacuated that town, and with the fire jumping the Fraser River, the nearly 3,000 firefighters from the BC area and across the country continue to diligently fight the flames that have destroyed homes and communities. One community taking in many evacuees is Prince George. Joining me live from that region is Captain Neil Wilkinson, Corps Officer of the British Columbia Division of the Salvation Army. Thank you for joining us today, Captain Neil.
It's an honor and privilege to be here.
Now tell us, what has it been like watching the progression of the situation right there in the BC area?
It's both alarming and a wonderful opportunity for us to meet human need and meet human suffering. The Salvation Army is always available 24/7 to be able to help out in cases like this, and so it's so awesome to be there. But to watch the incoming evacuees is really heart-wrenching at times.
And what do you know about the fight against this fire? What's the latest news that you've heard?
So the entire city of Williams Lake has been evacuated, and we are doing our very best here in Prince George to provide hospitality for those who have been displaced by the fire. We know that firefighters are working very hard to preserve property and save people's possessions. And we know that it's a huge effort to try to make sure that people have a sense of calm while they're staying here in Prince George, and we're honored to be part of that process.
The Salvation Army is always known for being one of the first organizations on the ground. What have you been doing? How have you been helping those evacuees, especially from Williams Lake, as they come in?
Sure. So the Salvation Army has been on the ground since a week ago Saturday. And we've been providing food services for the evacuees and for the volunteers at the reception center here in Prince George. We've also had emotional and spiritual care workers on the ground to provide assistance as well, just to have an opportunity for people to process some of the challenging things that they're going through. And of course, we're always there to provide clothing and practical needs for people as well. Some people had to leave very quickly and weren't able to gather very many things before, very many essentials before they had to leave. And so we're so honored and privileged to be there to support families as in their time of need.
And how are people's spirits? You know, you talk about the spiritual care of what Salvation Army does so well. What are their spirits like?
People are doing very well. All things considered. I was so honored and so privileged a week ago today, actually. I was walking down the hall of the reception center, and there was a lady walking towards me from the other direction, and she was sobbing just a little bit with her face in her hands. And as we passed, she took her face out of her hands and looked up and saw the Salvation Army uniform. And her tears stopped, and she had a sense of hope. She said, "It looks like everything's going to be okay. The Salvation Army is here." Wow. So it's such a privilege and an honor to be able to meet people in their darkest hour, but then also to be able to instill that sense of hope that even though things may look bleak, that there is a bright day tomorrow, and that we can demonstrate the love of Jesus Christ in very practical ways.
Can you share some maybe other stories that you've heard of people having to leave everything behind?
Absolutely. So some of the people that we've been talking with have been sharing some of their deepest concerns and the stresses that go along with not knowing whether or not their house is still standing, worried about their jobs, worried about their entire security in a temporal sense. And so it's really heartwarming to be able to sit with somebody and to just listen to their concerns and listen to the things that they're wrestling with, but to also be able to demonstrate hospitality here in Prince George. And it brings a sense of calming for most people that we're chatting with, to help them to understand that, you know, they're not in this battle alone, and that there are many that journey with them. And it's such a privilege to be part of that process.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Captain Neil.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
The Salvation Army is one of our trusted partners. If you'd like to give to this emergency situation, go to salvationarmy.ca.